what's up, everybody? Appreciate y'all for joining us. It's the One and One Sports Show. My name is Shawnee,
My name is Dante.
and I think we got a pretty solid week and show planned up for you guys. Dante, what topic you want to start off with first, NFL or the World Series?
I want to start off with I know the World Series is getting ready to get going, but I'll say that for the second segment. I
Hmm.
want to get popped off with the NFL trade deadline, and I
Okay.
know one thing a lot of Cowboy fans have been saying. I know like the pro Cowboy fans that are super pro team and not too critical have been like, hey, the Cowboys made like I saw the spin job being made by David Moore, the Dallas Morning News, saying, hey, the Cowboys made their moves earlier, and they did, but one of their moves they made is not going to help the team at all this year, and that was the fourth round pick given up for Trey Lance. And my thing is, if you're going to go and get that, be aggressive and get that asset, that if you flipped them and got a pick, okay, I can understand it, but they got thumbs down for not getting better. The San Francisco 49ers, I mean, they took a flyer on Randy Gregory, and I'm almost willing to say they took a flyer on him, but them getting the move to get Chase Young was the more important move, which probably meant that's a player that has 5 sacks on the season and is going to be viable to help your pass rush rotation. And Randy Gregory might be a guy that's inactive. I don't know. He didn't do much at Denver, and when they cut bait that fast, it normally means that they don't feel like there's any reason to keep you around. You had the Buffalo Bills picking up Rasul Douglas at the corner position. You had the Eagles picking up former All Pro and Kevin Byard at the safety position. Picking up
Hmm.
sharing up a weakness for them, and it's one of those deals. Now we're seeing the NFL as a league to where the teams that are going to go deep into the playoffs are going to be teams that make trades and free agent moves in the offseason, and they make moves at the deadline or before the deadline. And so, if you're going to give the Cowboys props and the other contenders as well for making moves like the move they made last year with the defensive tackle Hankins. Picking him up was a big move. Jonathan Hankins was a big move to help their run defense, and those are moves they made the moves to get. I think was it Michael Bennett before. So this one, I just got to give them a thumbs down on it. They should have made a move, even if it was for offensive lineman. That you saw Ezra Cleveland, he got picked up. So I say they get a thumbs down for that, but kudos to like the Eagles, the 49ers. I mean, the Lions actually traded away. No, they traded for a
No, they
receiver.
trade. They got Peoples Jones.
They got Donovan Peoples Jones.
Yeah, they
So you
got
see
him
people making
for a six
yeah.
round. No, that's Vikings. But yeah, they got Donovan Peoples Jones. But what's interesting to me, the whole Chase Young, he got traded for a third round pick, and he's a former number two overall pick. So that's pretty much shows you how Washington was kind of his value with them for the most part. Um,
I think in the league his value is just it's unknown.
it's injuries. He's just too injury prone, and he can't stay on the field. So you really don't know how his talent will shape up. The dude just cannot stay on the field. I'm looking at the other draft picks now. I know you done touched on several of them. I'm looking at Jaguars. Yeah, they got Ezra Cleveland to beef up their O line. The Vikings, because of Cousins' recent injury, he's out for the season with that Achilles. Um, they picked up Joshua Dobbs. So I'm curious. They picked up Joshua Dobbs and a 7th round pick, and they traded that to the Cardinals for a 6th round pick, 2024 6th round pick. I'm curious to see if Joshua Dobbs will be starter. Because he was starting. And then
I think he will. I think eventually he'll be a
well,
starter.
I
It's just
think they'll let him learn the playbook for at least a week or so, and then I forgot who their current quarterback is, but obviously
it's a
I
rookie.
think
Their current
yeah.
quarterback is a rookie, and I don't think of him being a career backup. That's the thing. I can't remember the name of the guy that used to talk about it. The skill. You only. I think he's still at ESPN. The Hasselback brother, or used to be. He said the skill of being able to be like, hey, you've been in different offenses. It's easier for you to pick up. You pick it up, and then you learn it. You help the other guys, and then when you have to play, you come in. You stick to the script. You get the job done. Dobbs has been that from he was in Pittsburgh, he was in Cleveland, just in Arizona, traded. So I feel like it won't take him long to get up to speed, and that's kind of like a move where Arizona just does. I mean, Minnesota just doesn't want to dive on the season. If you start this rookie, and then whoever I don't know if he was the emergency quarterback or if you got the emergency quarterback now, he's the second. you are quitting on the season, and you just beat one of the NFC's best and or NFL's best in the 49ers. So you don't want to just dive on the season like that. You got Justin Jefferson coming back. That's gonna make Dobbs' life a lot easier. So I like that move. Another one that snuck under the radar said Joe Burrow is back. Yeah, the Bengals. I appreciate them knocking off the 49ers actually, because it's like yeah, it sucks. Like I saw 49ers fan. It sucks that we can't beat them, but I'm always gonna love my rivals losing. I'm always gonna love them losing and getting in a rut. And now if the Cowboys win this week, you look up the NFC standings. You have the tiebreaker. The 49ers will be here. The Cowboys will be 6-2. So it's like they'll be 5-3. So it's like, hey, it's one of those deals where it's like, hey, that's a win that comes up now, even though it wasn't an NFC win. But speaking of the NFC West leader, the Seahawks, they picked up Leonard Williams, to go in their interior, their defensive line. He's somebody that can get after the quarterback and stop the run. They already have that nice secondary. It's just kind of like a baby Legion of Boom again. And so they got Geno making it happen, and they actually lead their division. So I salute to, like I said, I salute to all the teams making those moves. Now you'll see how they work out. You see, what flamed out. You'll see why people was available. You all let that play out. But but going from the trading of players.
One team on the NFC team, it just pretty much shows this team that they don't really know what the hell going on with them. And that's the Chicago Bears. They traded their second round pick for Montez Sweat with Washington. Now the thing about that is Chicago not doing nothing right now. So that second round pick was going to be a good chance to be a high second round pick, like in the 30s. And Montez Sweat is on an expiring contract. So he's going to be looking to get paid this offseason. You probably could have got a player like Sweat in the next draft for a whole lot cheaper. So the grade they gave the Bears a C minus and Washington an A minus. It just why did you make a trade for a player who pretty much regardless going to be more expensive? You're not going to try to get him as a rental. You're going to try to convince him to re-up with this team. What's up, Mr. Bennett? I don't understand the Bears at all.
I don't agree with a lot of moves they've made, but honestly, for me, the only thing I can consider is offering up the pick and then trying to go and sign the players back. I like the move just because you're not quitting on your season. You're hoping to get Fields back in a week or two and then try to push it and at least start to build the culture of a team that can win. You already have, I think Carolina just got their first win. So you gave up a pick and you would have had their pick and yours, which yours is still it's still going to be a second round pick, which is a premium pick in the draft. I don't mind it so much because Carolina is sinking. I don't see much of a turnaround. I see them getting a team, maybe getting 3 or 4 wins. It's still going to be at the top of the second round, having their first and second. So they're going to be in good shape. And to be honest, if they see enough from Fields, which I'm all for letting a guy develop and putting more and more around him, I'm not for just, let me go get Caleb Williams. Let me go get this guy, because that doesn't always work. So I don't mind them giving up the pick. They still could be in a position to trade down, keep Fields as their quarterback, trade down, get him an actual quarterback, somebody's going to trade offensive coach. So I'm not killing them on it. I'm going to give them an A+, but it is a risky proposition. They did do it last year with getting Chase Claypool, and it just totally didn't work out, flamed out. Mm-hmm. So it's just like you take a flyer on the guy, but it is an edge rusher, and any edge rusher they were going to get is not going to be Montez Sweat. Any edge rusher they get in the draft, I can almost bet on them year one not being that type of player. So you add that type of player to you, obviously they need a lot more. So, but now the biggest thing is, how does it play out on the field? Obviously for the Bears, it may or may not matter, but how does Kevin Byard help the Eagles? Now, I didn't get to see a lot of their game, but the Eagles still, I want to say to a team in Washington, I don't know why Washington was just so competitive with them. And I know that sucks Washington fans that you really had the Eagles dead to rights twice and got no wins from it. And then you ended up blowing up your team. But I want to say for giving up Chase Young, that was the ultimate. I'll say this, not more so for what they got, but just the ultimate failure. Like in that draft, look at the quarterbacks that were on the board when they were there. You took Chase Young, and it totally just didn't work out. And it's one of those deals to where like it hurts the people that are always like, hey, take the best value of the player, don't overvalue the quarterback. But then you keep chasing your tail and looking for a quarterback. You got rid of Kirk Cousins because he wasn't good enough, and you're still chasing your tail. And that
Well, right
so it's
now, I mean, Sam Howell, he's looking decent. I mean, he's looking like a QB that okay, we can see if he'll improve the next season. He had a good game against the Eagles. Um, he had that unfortunate that late sack that pretty much, even though they came back and scored, but they had to get an onside kick.
yeah.
But yeah, I think he's at least earned, you know, the Commanders to at least take another deeper look at him. Maybe they can go get a quarterback like in the middle rounds of the draft because right now, I mean, I don't see a rookie quarterback coming in and doing what he's doing. So just kind of like what San Fran did with Purdy. It look like it's working right now. So let's see let's see how far we can go with it. Let's use these other high draft picks on another need on the roster instead of trying to go for another high QB. I mean,
But I don't think they
uh,
went. They haven't went for a high QB since Ray rest in peace
yeah,
since
yeah. So what is a high QB or bringing another QB from free agency? They have one right now who's playing decent ball. So I think it's just worth to see what he can bring you, what he could deliver.
yeah.
You know,
You give him the whole year. And Mr. Bennett, I did see your comment. Salute to you, my brother. When as it comes to the Rangers, I do think they win. I don't know. I don't know about dynasty. I won't say dynasty. I won't use that word. But I will say they will be in the mix competitively for the years to come. Farm system is fully stocked with a lot of guys. Like they have a guy that's going to come up. That I mean, he moved. He was a college player that moved all the way up to AAA since the season ended. So he's somebody that's going to be pushing. You have him as a trade piece, even though you might want to hold on to him. They got a young guy, as you see, the rookie in Evan Carter. I won't say that the Astros run is over. What I will say is from hearing from the baseball people, the people that know that from the Rangers, because obviously you watch them closely, they knew when the Astros were coming. And 16, when we didn't do anything, and 17, they won the next year. They knew that was happening, and that's why we knew this run was coming from all those picks, and they did really well. Through those runs, they traded some guys up, and so it's not over, but they aren't the strong team they were. But I'm not gonna. They're gonna be in the playoffs next year. I will put my money on them. Them and the Rangers competing for a playoff spot next year. And it's just for me as a personal, it's good to see it as far as beating them in the series. Be like, hey, we took on this. We took on the 90 with the Rays who won like 99 wins, and then you took on
basically the
the
first
best
two
team.
teams
Yep.
that the Rangers beat, they had over 200 wins
Yeah,
before it got
so
to get to Houston.
you knock those two off, and then you beat the world champ. So it's just like it's one of those things where like yeah, the NL didn't hold up as the way you thought it would, but you took out the best, and it's gonna be a rivalry from years to come. Like I will say this to Shani's point, ESPN has to put Sunday Night Baseball in Houston, in Arlington. We need two of those and separate them. Don't do it like you do the Yankees and the Red Sox, where you look up and it'll be like you had one weekend, get Red Sox Yankees, another game, and then another weekend, like in the same month, 2 out of 3 times. That's what you need to kind of build more interest. Because I know it's a lowly rated World Series, but when it's your team, you don't give a damn. You just want to see your team win. You watching the Metroplex rating is high. Like I want to say the Cowboys just barely edged out the rankings from the ratings from the Rangers, and that's big because this is a very Cowboy dominant market as far as watching. So it's
Well,
it's been great.
I as far as do I see a similar run to Houston? I don't know, man. That's hard to do. I mean, that's seven
Seven
straight
straight. Mm-hmm.
ALCSs. We almost went to three straight World Series, 5 and 7 years. That's hard to do. Do I think Houston's reign is over? Nah. The only thing that can come close to ending Houston's reign is because a lot of players have upcoming contracts they got to renegotiate. and that can be, that's how we lost George Springer and Carlos Correa. They just want the bigger money. And the thing about it, Texas and Houston went about it in different ways. Texas pretty much has reached to a point was like, the hell with it. Let's open up our checkbook. And I think on 3 players alone, they spent almost $1 billion. Now Houston, they went through the 3 consecutive 100-loss seasons and build through the draft, and they had like a hellified analytics program where they was able to use, and they was able to get well, Altuve, Correa, Bregman, they was able to build those, and then that core that's still here. And then of course we thank the Dodgers all the time for giving us Yordan Alvarez, and so the biggest thing about the Astros this year, besides this little fluky thing that they couldn't win at home, that kind of really just came to a head in the month of September and went into October. It's a weird thing. They just could not win at home. And we had some starting pitchers that went out. I know Texas lost DeGrom, but then we also lost 2 starting pitchers, and we was able to see that those 2 pitchers that they put in Game 7, Hunter Brown and especially J.P. France, he got destroyed in Game 7. But I think they run is still there. The biggest thing about them, though, is giving these contracts. I know Kyle Tucker's going to be looking to get paid.
He's trying to get paid. Already heard.
Alex Bregman, he's going to be looking to get paid. That can be the only thing that can officially put like some type of pause to this reign. If they could stay together, you may be seeing the Astros looking for an 8th straight ALCS next year. I mean, it's just, they just got to look at some holes, get some players, who were injured last year to come back, especially the pitching staff. So it's a good thing between Houston and the Rangers. My only thing is with the same thing what happened with the Nationals when they beat Houston in the World Series. Same thing what happened with the Braves when they beat Houston in the World Series. Teams gonna find out it's real hard to play when you have a target on your back. Yeah. And Houston, they've been having a target on their back for the past 7 years, amplified with the whole what happened in 2017. So, and they still having success. So that's the main thing. It's going to be harder to play with a target on your back, and Houston has like mastered that.
Mastered.
So it's I don't think their reign is over. Trying to see, they're gonna have some positions that they have to address, and now they have an owner who maybe similar to Texas. Like I say, Texas came in when Chris Young, the GM, came. They just say, open up the checkbook.
Yeah.
This owner the Astros have now, Jim Crane, similar mindset. Open up the checkbook. So it's going to be interesting to see how he's going to go to the offseason. But it's going to be a good rivalry between the 2 teams. I just hope it gets more exposure nationally. I know, like you brought up the numbers for this particular World Series, which I had a feeling was going to happen because the Rangers are not a deep national team, and they're not Diamondbacks. I blame that on MLB and the media because it's so hard to watch games out of your region with this whole blackout rules that they have. And then the fact that MLB does not promote a lot of teams besides Red Sox, Yankees. They just keep sticking to the same teams. So I blame them to an extent because, when you look at baseball, you only looking at the same teams all the time. They don't look at the Diamondbacks. They don't look at the Rangers.
It's the Dodgers. They won it for so long, but y'all kept messing it up. Y'all messed it up, and the Dodgers messed it up. They wanted the Dodgers and the Yankees, those prestigious names, because even if what is it, the rule of the casual fan? If somebody that doesn't really watch sports heavily or not at all, if they're aware of it, they have a higher rating and things. So like you gotta push them more. You gotta have different, Sunday Night Baseball is the coolest, the standalone game. But there's also the Fox game now. It's the TBS game. Like you gotta keep pushing and rotating them in. Like the schedule is already out, it's made. So now you just have to put the national TV team in place to it. the Diamondbacks and the Rangers both 2 years ago lost over 100 games. So it's just a situation where you want them to continue to grow and push there. And that's the biggest thing. If the Rangers and the Diamondbacks were to fall off, then that kills our argument. But if they do good and they continue to be success, which I do think the Diamondbacks, they drafted a lot of young players like Corbin Carroll is really good. The Rangers have drafted well, got young guys because it's a mix. Like the Rangers spent a lot of the money the last with DeGrom, with John Gray.
They spent a lot of
I
money.
want to say John Gray came the same offseason with Simeon and Seager. So those came, and then you got Nathan Eovaldi who's starting tonight, and it's 0-0 going into the bottom of the second. So it's like they spent the money and you developed the players because Jonah Heim was, they traded a beloved catcher to keep him. So you kept him. Nathan Lowe, he was around for a lot of losing. Dane Dunning, we traded for him, and he's been around for a lot of the stuff to develop. So it's like a lot of Josh Young was drafted. And so basically this was a combination of Chris Young and much props to John Daniels, who at the time was the best general manager we had ever had. It was controversial. He pushed, Nolan struggle, but the two straight, world champ, two straight AL pennants couldn't get it done. And then he just kind of things kind of got stale. It was time to transition. And, it's worked out so far, with our history. I'm not getting too much on it, but it's a good chance of me being at Texas Live tonight if the way of things trend to go away the way I'm feeling. But so I'm really excited, but I know I got plenty of time hopefully next week to do a victory lap. I want to get into. You want to go ahead and jump into the Mr. Last Chance?
Oh, that James Harden guy.
So, we'll quickly get into James Harden. So.
Man, if you don't, let me pull up his trade details.
Pull up the trade details.
So,
okay.
As it was early. I was still up. It was after midnight Central Time when the notification came that Harden was getting traded over to the Clippers, and so the Clippers received James Harden, P.J. Tucker, and Philip Petrusev. And the Sixers received Nicholas Batum, Marcus Morris, Robert Covington, K.J. Martin, and multiple draft picks. I'm sure a majority of this because of Harden. So now you got that part out of the way of who got who. My main thing is I just look at James Harden. Me being a Rockets fan, he gave us some good years in Houston. Unfortunately, when he was with Houston, there was a juggernaut on the West Coast that nobody can beat. And I think the Rockets challenged them more than any other team in the NBA. And, they just amped it up when they got Durant. But, yeah, the way he went out, I didn't mind him wanting to get out. I was like, okay, he had his time here. If he wanted to get traded, okay, so be it. But the way he went about it, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, man, you just sabotage. You want to, gain weight and whatnot. So it worked, got shipped to Brooklyn. Went to Brooklyn, I guess something else happened. I kind of can see how a player can get frustrated, but he wasn't really liking how Kyrie was not always available or whatnot. So of course ran himself off of that, forced his way out of that, go to Philly. And I noticed every time he keep going to these new cities, he keeps telling me he's so happy to be here. He's so happy to be here. Well, I'm like, hell, man, if I'm the next city, I'm like, man, you happy to be here now on day one, but let's see how it is. He barely can make a season with these new teams, a full 82-game season. And, Philly, he claims, I guess, Morey, who he really wanted to go to Philly. When he left Houston, he was hell-bent to go to Philly, but he kind of made a pit stop in Brooklyn. He's saying he couldn't trust Morey no more.
What I heard was, at first, I've heard competing things. I heard he wanted to go play in Brooklyn because that was obviously what you think is the easiest path to the championship.
Yeah.
And what a guy like Charles Barkley doesn't realize is they don't want to be you. And you're not saying you can't be Chuck, you can't play on that dream team, 92 dream team. And there's a lot to go with that. Like you can't. So it's tough but they don't want to be you from the standpoint of, hey man, they don't want to be this great player that never won a championship. They don't want to be the guy that, hey, like Harden is going to be able to host. I don't know about hosting any shows, but he might be able to do that. And you never want to be the guy that just didn't get it done. And you're sitting on the panel, and it happens from time to time. They get to talking about championships, and then it's like, yeah, you got to be quiet. And it's just like you can know what it takes to get done in the playoffs,
Until
but you don't
Shaq
want to be
knows
that
something
guy.
about him.
Shaq gets at him easy, and that's why it's so funny when he be like, "Yeah, Kobe and D Wade carry you to the championship." He playing, but except for the D Wade one. Yeah, the D Wade when that was the end of Shaq. That year one, he still had it. Year two, D Wayne transition. From a Mavs fans, I don't want to get too much into it because there was, let's just say, a lot of whistles were called. But yeah, man, you don't want to be that. But you also going and taking the easy route doesn't always seem to work out. And I do think 3 stars is too much for salary cap purposes, also to team of depth of the team purposes. Like that money getting divided, that's way too much. And I'm all for guys getting their money. So I never want you to give a billionaire a discount. That's the last person in the world you should give a discount. But so I get it for wanting to go over there, but then I also heard that Tillman Fertitta was not basically. I think they were smart. They didn't want to take Ben Simmons back in the deal, and they were right for that. Like their people was like, we ain't trying to do that, and so they won out on that. So he forces the way out. He gets there, but the thing is, man, him and Embiid wasn't really gonna mesh just because like Embiid can be vocal. And he was a little vocal about Ben Simmons, and he wants him to be the guy. But I think what it all boils down to is if you read the tea leaves, when Harden took that deal, and the NBA had every right to investigate, he took less money to stay, and he was supposed to get the big extension later. Well, Harden, if you want the big extension, that deal was probably contingent until y'all at least get to the conference finals. Because if y'all get to the conference finals, y'all might have had enough to beat Boston. Maybe y'all did. Maybe y'all didn't. But to at least, the Heat, because they lost to Boston. Y'all might have had enough to beat the Heat and then get to the finals. Then that extension comes and you earned it, and you're still the guy. Or if you don't get the extension, you hit the market and you have a market. But we've seen you do what you've done time and time again, which is losing the playoffs. So now you're going to a team with two guys that statistically will not be healthy. One of the two of them will not be healthy come playoff time. And then guess what? They're going to depend on you to get it done in the playoffs. And so forgive me if we know how this story goes, how this one's going to turn out. So it's just like, I'm not really, and then also as a Lakers fan, it's just kind of like, it's funny to see the Clips. Hey, last ditch effort. We're trying to make it happen. We're trying to make this run. I felt like for a while as a Lakers fan, we didn't have any wings, and the Clippers were just getting wings for pennies on a dollar. From Robert Covington to I forgot the other wings that from Marcus Morris.
Nicholas
Batum. They could get any wing they wanted. What's the Powell? When they got Norman Powell, it's like, man, y'all got every wing on the market. We couldn't get anything, only to lose in the playoffs.
Well,
and so now
2 main stars is never available.
2 stars. Well, I'll say this because I keep hearing this. I keep hearing the Clippers guys, and it's one thing when the podcast go and they talk about stuff from. I hate it when sometimes when they talk about the old days in rap, and it's just like, bro, we tired of the 90s. Let's talk about the 2000 stories or something, 2010s. But the 2020 Clippers just swear they was gonna win the title. And if it wasn't, it's like, bro, I get y'all. And everybody that wants to discount the Lakers because they won, cool, I understand you. That's your prerogative. What was the alternative? Was the alternative just like, let's wait till, and the NBA waited a while. Like LA did not get fully capacity until like 22. So we're supposed to wait 2 whole years, and then whoever won them were like, well, that was an asterisk too. Everybody played that was available to play. Whatever happened. Stop dreaming about it. You blew a 3-1 lead. Like they never want to talk about y'all blew a 3-1 lead. I don't want to hear about like this. I know who was it? That was Montrezl Harrell was like, he lost his grandmother. And I understand it. He had to grieve, he had to leave the bubble. The other situations that happened. But from a stack of having a 3-1 lead, now we know Jokic went on to win back-to-back MVPs and then a Finals MVP. So it's like, yeah, y'all lost to a good team. We saw how good Jamal Murray is. But like, bro, I'm tired of them crying about that. Like that's the craziest thing. And they just it's like they have a loser's mentality. They shook a lot of that losing with Chris Paul and them, but they couldn't get past to the conference finals. Now they've gotten to the conference finals one time with all that talent, and they just those old guys want to harp on that podcast P. You better at podcasting than the playoffs. But it's just like, yo, y'all just get it done on the court, y'all. Like it's a good thing that we have players that can speak their minds and talk, but sometimes it's a detriment. Like Michael Parsons, it's real close. It's gonna be a problem with him being too honest on that pod, and it's gonna come about. I love him to death as a player, but it's just gonna come, and he'll just have to deal with that as it comes. But the Clippers, it's now or never, man. They finally getting their own arena.
Well, I see.
And
We building over here. He made a comment about basically how the Clippers are viewed in LA. Cause you have the Lakers, UCLA, and USC, and then there's the Clippers. Which I heard that. I heard like they basically like the low end of the totem pole over there as far as the teams that are supported
yeah,
over there.
as a Laker fan, I've definitely seen that and following like Lakers themed stuff. Like Chris Paul, who's not, especially before we got to this point now, when he got to LA, got on that Clipper gear, he went to the Dodger game and got booed.
Well, my whole thing is just with LA, for whatever reason, these pro sports leagues keep giving that city two franchises. Like, just give them one. I don't know why they keep, because there's always going to be one franchise that is like heavily viewed compared to the other one. Right now, it's the Rams and the Chargers in the NFL. The Rams get their support. Chargers kind of like the stepchild. I'm like, why y'all keep giving this team two franchises?
They see that market and it's TV driven. If this was a previous era before TV did the numbers that it does now, and sports are I guess when people watch TV shows, like sit down and watch them at a time, no DVR, it was a big deal to do that, and then the TV wasn't as big. But now the TV is a big deal. When they see that millions in that second biggest market, and we can put that team there, they're thinking the goal is always to get some younger fans and let them grow with the team. You get some people that, it's a transient city, so you get some transplant people. Oh yeah, they'll pick it up. Like the infamous woman with the Chargers jersey, and they caught her with the Vikings jersey. She moved to LA for work, and she still roots for the Vikings, but she lives out in LA, so she catches and rocks with the Chargers. So it's just they bank on that, but we've yet to see it come to fruition. The Rams have gone up. I think they've been there a number of years. It's getting close to a decade that they've been there now, and so I know it's close because I think Aaron Donald's first year was in St. Louis, and then the next year they moved to LA, and I know he's getting close. He's getting up there in age, so in years. So it's been a while, and they still trying it. But like from the local radio people, they always, of course, go to LA go to Oxnard for the training camp. So you're picking up LA radio, and it was just like football talk on the sports talk radio. There is just not there. It's dominated by the Lakers. It's heavily dominated Lakers and Dodgers. And it was like, so it's kind of tough to see where they fit, like the Rams fit in at. Like, I know people were clowning the Rams Super Bowl parade, which is, it's one thing. It's like, I'm all about joking, but it's like, you joking on their parade? Like, they did win. So it's just like, and I didn't really.
Well, I think just the city, the residents there just have a lot of stuff to do. So the team is just not.
And they don't have a strong code yet.
The Dodgers, the Dodgers are big down there. I know that they support that team.
Man,
but it's just when it comes to football, like I just don't understand that why they always basketball too. We have the Lakers, but why they just so? Why do they always view this city needs two franchises? But
it's just
they got. Now that I think about it, two football franchises, two basketball franchises, and two baseball franchises. I'm like, what now?
I don't count Weston and them because they're in Anaheim. Like, and I've always heard from people there that.
Well, no, I think didn't the Angels move? Well, I guess they're known now as L.A. Angels.
They call them L.A. Dodgers, but I still consider it because I think about because they always played the Rangers. I always think about it was weird to go from Anaheim Angels to Los Angeles Angels. Anaheim.
Why black man really fly Eagles fly? He a Saints fan.
Oh
against the
man,
Eagles.
you know what? Hey, Batman. Hey, the Eagles. That's a tough game. But I'm glad you mentioned that because I got this specific stat just for that. I wish
Oh,
we
you
could
talk
put this
about the
stat.
what's this? The history of the pass.
I ain't even going to that one. I'm going to straight up Dak Prescott and his. Let me see. I forgot to see the versus the Eagles. What is it? Dak versus
Oh,
the
he
Eagles.
been having good
69
games
to
against the
88.
Eagles.
69 to 88 for 880 yards, 11 touchdowns, and one pick. And I think the pick they got was the one on the screen. So I'm liking my chances against the Cowboys versus the Eagles this week because their defense, as you saw, if you let the Commanders drop 31 on you, I mean, I got something a little bit better than I got somebody just a smidge better than Sam Howell. It's just a smidge better. I got some receivers that's better than McLaurin. So it's just like they're gonna have a tough game on their hands this week. We're not afraid of Slay. We're not afraid of Byer. That's cool. You got him. We're not scared of nobody they have over there. The only thing that's gonna be a problem to deal with is that defensive line. That defensive line is gonna be something to stay with. So they're gonna have to, the back's gonna have to help in protection, and they're gonna have to slide it and
Well,
make some
speaking of
plays
that, because I thought the Rams D line was about to give the Cowboys hell in the first like initial
that
minutes
first
of the
that first
first
drive.
quarter, but then they made the adjustments, and the rest was history. Um, with Jalen Hurts, he's having his share of picks this year. And one thing about the Cowboys,
Can you repeat that? Because it was a quarterback last year. They talked about interceptions a lot. But
man, I had a debate with some people, man, but I forgot the exact number compare. I know Dak has the least picks in the whole division. Um, but one thing about the Cowboys, you cannot give this defense picks. They are prone to take a pick and make it pick six, or they have a scoop six. That's when like the snowball effect happens with Dallas if their defense starts creating turnovers. Now, if their defense cannot create turnovers, then it's a whole different ball game for the offense. But now you're going against a QB who have had his you know interception issues this year.
8 picks.
Um, eight.
I did not know it was 8.
Yeah, you can't do that with the Cowboys because you will
Now they're
see
gonna,
momentum start to happen with the Cowboys if they start getting the turnovers that they need. 'Cause a lot of times the games they lost, they was not getting those turnovers. The games
yeah.
they won, they've been kind of winning about via blowouts. So it's if you got a quarterback who's this season is prone to throwing ints, the Cowboys are another defense that you want to play with. I won't be. And the black man
And
talking
then,
about the Eagles will blow out the Cowboys. I'm like, I don't
nah,
know, man.
those games
If the
always
Eagles can
close.
yeah, they always close. If the Eagles can protect the ball, you can have a game. Cause that I'm not even getting to they secondary right now. They giving up some passing yards. But if the
Okay.
Eagles can
Hey,
protect the ball, it'll be a close game. If the Eagles
I'm at
turn
the,
the ball over, it will be a
yeah.
blowout the other way. So I'm
We
just putting
we
it out there.
building over here. We building over here. You say so that can be the playoff team. When were you born? Because I could have sworn that Dak Prescott and the Cowboys beat the Eagles last year on Christmas Eve. And the Eagles, before you bring up Jalen Hurts, that he did miss that game. The Eagles have the number one defense in the NFL. I think the defensive coordinator got a
He
head
was
coaching
born.
job because they were good on defense. So, and this is the number one defense, and he had, let me see, he had CeeDee Lamb, second team All Pro. He had Noah Brown and T.Y. Hilton off the street. So those are the guys. Oh wait, I forgot they still had Dalton Schultz as the tight end. So no, not just not some role that y'all got with the first round pick and Devontae Smith, AJ Brown, All Pro receiver. So it's just like, hey, I can understand you if you're saying like that. You just don't think that they can beat the Eagles, but don't say that it can't be a playoff team. Please come correct, because we will correct that. We will correct that. Just throwing it out there, and
Yeah,
that's for any
the,
team.
the main thing about with Dak, right now his main obstacle is the 49ers. The game plan that they throw out at him, he has an issue, against them. Now he may lose to other teams who may ultimately be in the playoffs, but he fares better in those games. Now, in particular with the Eagles, forget the whole to put the Dak point aside, they division rivals. A lot of times they many times they're going to at least split the
Yeah.
games in the
Okay.
season.
Hey,
So
we build it. We build it. I hear you. I hear you. I hear you in what you're saying. I'm just correcting you on your point. You saying big games. That was a big game last year. Don't move the goalpost. Don't be like Joy Taylor. Don't be like Joy Taylor, where like Joy Taylor and the national people, where you move the goalposts. If you want to say, do you think he could beat the Eagles? I fully, believe you on that. Just my thing is this: if they beat the Eagles, then don't come next week and say, well, just say, hey, he beat the Eagles. It was a good win. That's my thing with it. Just don't. I don't like the goalpost moving. I like everybody to be held to the same standard. Jalen Hurts, while he's winning games, and he may have the interceptions, he's still sixth in the NFL in QBR. Dak Prescott is seventh in the league in QBR. He threw 4 touchdowns, 0 picks. Dak threw 4 touchdowns, 1 pick last week. Those are both quarterbacks that are playing good football coming in and against a game. I think it'll be a really good game. And my thing is, I'll stand on it. Yeah, he has to be able to beat the teams like the 49ers. You say, wait, what playoff team have they beat? As far as being a playoff team this year, I don't think they've played any teams. Well, we don't know because the season's still going. Last year he sent the go home for good. Then he lost to the 49ers. The other teams that you expect to make the playoffs, I don't know. All I know is their schedule is coming up. They're going to face some teams that are going to make the playoffs. So the Eagles being one, I think they're going to make it. I think they play Detroit late in the year. They're going to make the playoffs. So he has to win those games, especially for playoff positioning. So that's what So I'm with you if you want to make the critique. I'm 100% with you because I do think the 49ers are thorn in his side. But I do feel confident when they play the divisional teams. I guess he's been there a while, the familiarity, he does have good success. They normally split with the Eagles. They normally split with the Eagles because they're the best team in the division. Every now and again, you see Washington snake bit them like they did last year. But I don't know if that's going to happen this year because they're selling. So, yeah, I mean, it's a legit critique.
my thing about it, when people, I guess, they love to bring up the whole playoff team when it comes to the Cowboys' schedule. Like the Cowboys have any control of the schedule. This is familiar with multiple NFL teams. It's not like they play a playoff team every game.
Yeah.
They have sub 500 teams they playing against, plus 500 teams. It's still what we're going to week 9 of the season.
Yeah, week 9.
So we still have, excluding this week, it's still going to be 8 more games. So it's a whole lot of football left to be played. So, every time when it comes to the Cowboys, many people always bring up their schedule. I'm like, well, I can pull up some other teams' schedule, teams who are record maybe just as equal as the Cowboys. It's similar. It's not like teams play playoff teams every week. But yeah, I just hear that argument with the Cowboys so many times, and then I see he brought up. Well, I guess it's a personal thing. I guess he thinks Lamar Jackson is the best quarterback in the NFL.
Lamar. What is it? The game against the Lions. The game against the Lions is one of those you can make that case, and I hear you. There are certain quarterbacks I can understand you making the case. It's just that for me personally, even though he's off a down week, it's Patrick Mahomes, and he can close the door. He's in his own area. And then it's the other quarterbacks. Then it's Lamar Jackson. Then it's Josh Allen. Then it's Joe Burrow. And my thing is, I love the fact that Joe Burrow and Lamar Jackson get to face each other. So that's going to be real interesting. So I feel you. Lamar is.
They coming in now. KP asked the Cowboys have made it to the division round. It's the NFC Championship they have a hard time getting to. They was in the division round last year. They played against Tampa Bay in the wild card, and then
I'm here for it. If they lose Sunday, I'm all for saying they can't be the playoff team. The only thing, and the thing is, they're not going to face another team that's of a playoff caliber until they play the Seahawks, and that is on November 30th. They'll play the Seahawks. That's a potential playoff team. But after they play the Eagles, they got a cupcake against the Giants. They got a super cupcake against the Panthers on the road, and then they play Thanksgiving. They play Washington at home. So it's like, yeah, they don't play the way it's broken down, but then they go through a stretch where they're going to play Seattle. They're going to play Seattle at home. They're going to play the Eagles at home. Then they got to go to Buffalo, go to Miami, and then at home against the Lions. And that's going to be what defines their schedule. So my only question with that is, if we're going to go by that, I got a trick for you. I got a nice trick for you. There's a team, the Eagles. They're going to play the Cowboys, which 5-2. You can say, okay, that's a playoff caliber team. Then they're going to go at the Chiefs. They're going to be home against the Bills. They're going to be home against the 49ers, and then they're going to be at the Cowboys, and then they're going to be at the Seahawks. Those are a lot of playoff teams. So if they lose a couple of those, can we say, hey, Eagles this year, since we're focused on this year, are having a difficult time beating playoff caliber teams? That's the one thing that I want to keep in perspective. Because certain teams get certain things, and since we're going on, I don't want to rag on a certain quarterback, but I just want to say, in the words of Bill Parcells, he had a good thing to say. And he said, sometimes when it's a young player, let's slow down on breaking out the annoying oil. It looks like with Jalen Hurts, we can keep the annoying oil. He's still a really productive quarterback. As a quarterback that's lost 3 straight games, now they talking about maybe Kirk Cousins is going to be a free agent this offseason. And that is Kyle Shanahan. That is what he's basically described as his perfect quarterback to run his offense. So I'm just want to put it out there about putting an annoying oil about stuff and who can be playoff teams. I just want to kind of throw that all in the pot and stir it up, because that was just a little interesting to me. So I'll take it all week. I can take the slander. I can take it if we lose to the Eagles. I can take it. I hate it, but it's like, hey, look, I know we got to come see them in December, and they got to come back to AT&T Stadium. So I'm all with it.
With the Cowboys, I mean, I guess some people are more week to week when it comes to football teams. With me, I just hope the teams plays their best football at the end of the year instead of the beginning.
We build it. I hear what you're saying as far as playing your best. Like, I was just having that conversation with my friend. He was like, that got to show up and be great. He got to come out and play big. But my only thing is, and this is not more so for you, because I'm just saying, I'm assuming I know everybody in this chat for the most part, and watch as soon as I say rational, watch Poppy show up. Everybody in this chat right now is rational. My co-host is rational. But when we talk about the national media, and it's frustrating, but we know what it is. Dak wins this game. We could be reasonable. We'll be like, hey, look, you better came out and beat a good team. You got to keep it going. Got to come out and don't slip on the banana peel. They're going to move the goalposts.
Talk about the playoffs.
They're going to move to the well. He's got to do it, and they're going to move it, and and then they're not going to want to talk about anything other than that. And then if like the Cowboys then bring up, oh man, look at him winning games against to his division face. And then I'm more so a pro person of the quarterback wins are not really a thing, but it's more so how the quarterback plays, and that because that's literally what got Josh Allen up to this level, is that he played a really great game. It wasn't his fault that they lost, and they took that and ran with it. He's been flying out of the wild. I think that needs to expire. That should have expired last postseason when Joe Burrow came to his house. And they beat that team. I mean, just handily beat them. That should have when that was over. Still a big fan of his, but it's like we need a better performance. So it's a lot. It's a lot that goes into it. Like I said, I'm here for all the slander and all of that. But while we have a little bit of time left in the show, I do want to transition to the college football game, because it's you didn't know, especially here in Texas, man. It got pretty chilly this week to start the week off. And it's November. Its calendar has changed to November. College football, some teams are looking towards their recruiting class. Some teams are looking towards who can make that college football playoff. And
it's Ohio State, Georgia, Michigan, and who the fourth? Michigan and
it's Florida State that was fourth.
Florida State. So those are top 4. To me, it really doesn't. I mean, I really can care less if I'm 1 or 4. At least you in the top, you in the playoff, and then you just go prove, who's in your way. You go beat them when you get in the playoffs. As long as you 1 through 4. So I don't really make a big deal about Georgia should be number 1 or Ohio State. I think Georgia is number 1 because they back-to-back champs. They damn so. Nobody looking at this year's schedule because their schedule is so cupcake compared to Ohio State.
Off of beating Penn State and beating Notre
And they beat Notre Dame because Notre Dame, the last 2 plays of that game, they played with 10 people.
10 people on
So
the
who
field.
knows?
Like
So it was
that's
like,
making Freeman look bad. Like, bro, as you gotta know, as a brother man, you can't make mistakes like that as a head coach. They're going to get you out of there. That line is gonna be short. So like your lease is gonna be short. Like you can't do that, my guy. You gotta get off of that. But Georgia, I respect them for beating Georgia at two because they haven't really beaten anybody. Now they do play Missouri this week, and Missouri is ranked. Like if you look at the rankings, Missouri is 12th. So I know Missouri is having a big year because they have a 5-star recruit that's in their state that just committed to Texas, and it was like I thought Missouri ain't gonna be able to keep, but then they kept it off because the Missouri is a state that you can get the NIL money now, and so for him to come to Texas, that means that NIL package must be something serious, and Texas is having a big season, and they're ranked at 7, so they just outside of that group where they can push through. Oklahoma messed up their chances and lost, but for Texas or teams
let's
like
see.
Oklahoma, you
Did,
beat number 7, so
did,
they're
looking over
looking
here,
good.
no, Ohio State. Well, I mean, they in the Big Ten, so it's not like every big team in the Big Ten are contenders, especially the
Yeah,
Big
I'm with you.
Ten.
Penn
What
State,
is it?
Penn
I don't.
State
They don't
has to
call
do.
themselves West. They got like Legends and whatever. How they got their conference.
I
There's
forgot
one
how they
conference.
said it.
One side is just like everybody's subpar, but they did play against Notre Dame and Penn State, like two at the time, two teams that was ranked in the top 10.
The Penn State is a
Georgia
Penn
has
State is
not played anybody like that.
Penn State is
Georgia,
11 and Notre Dame is 15. So you
yeah,
beat those
Georgia
two
damn
teams.
near playing
They're
Division
only
two
going
schools.
what you beat. So
Yeah, so Georgia, they damn near playing Division two schools. So they literally ranked this high because of they back to back champs, and they looking like a number one team. But if you try to compare schedules between Georgia and Ohio State, it's not even close. It was said that about Georgia before the season even started. When you looked at their schedule, and they just basically playing the SEC East squad, you're like, damn man, they
yeah,
not playing no LSU, no Alabama, no A&M. I'm like, man, who the hell y'all playing? But
yeah, they
Florida
weak.
State is looking good though. Florida State looking good. I gotta look at their schedule to see what type of big games they
I
having.
think it's done. I think
They
it's
done.
done. I think maybe North Carolina, but they've been slipping. They just lost. They have
They
no
started off
defense.
hot. North Carolina started off hot.
They
Yeah, they've
started
been
off hot.
slipping.
They have one of those great defenses. I mean offenses, but they got the quarterback that's supposed to get drafted. But there's nobody left on their schedule to really play.
As long as they
They
can
play,
stay focused, and you know what, college students, man, they
yeah, because they
especially
beat
now that this playoff rankings for the first time came out,
great.
they start feeling themselves, and you always see with a team that get a big victory, and all of a sudden they jump in the rankings. The very next game they lose because that's just college football. It can be
Let
unpredictable
me
like
call a
that.
timeout. They have two teams that they're gonna probably get up for, or the teams are gonna get up for them. They're at home against Miami, and then I gotta go to the Swamp. Last game of the season. That
Yeah,
yeah,
that's rivalry, and that
that's
can go
rivalry.
anything. You
So
could throw
they
records out.
gotta
You literally could throw records out
start the records
out the
out.
book right now because
Yeah,
it's a rivalry.
and if they were to win those two games, and I mean, I don't think 2-6 Pitt or Northern Alabama stand a chance. If they win those two games, they sweep the game. They sweep the state of Florida. They can show that to recruits, and they're gonna go to the ACC title game and have a strong shot at making it. Now, what I will say is they're gonna need some breaks. They're gonna need to win that. They're gonna need to win out, and I think it's a chance they can win out if they want to make it. And then so it's they got it sold. I think they pretty much got it sold, got their spot locked in. Michigan is in a weird spot, and I saved them the last to talk about. Michigan is dealing with the cheating scandal, but it's one of those deals to where it hasn't really got up all the smoke yet. I know a lot. I know my old professor is a Ohio State fan, and man, they're not letting that go. And so Michigan basically their only really big test is going to be Ohio State at
And
the end of
that
the
game,
season.
but that game right there that you just brought up, it's going to be interesting. If both teams are undefeated going into that last game against each other, and whoever loses, it's going to be interesting to see how the committee votes them. Will they still keep them? Because even if they stay pat right now, if Ohio State is number one at that time, and Michigan is still number three. Okay, well, if Ohio State lose, Georgia will be number one, Michigan will be number two. It'll be
Mhm.
interesting to see if they keep Ohio State in the top four. because you lost to the number 3 team, especially if the game is close, or vice versa. If Ohio State wins and Michigan loses, will they still keep? So it's gonna be interesting to see if those teams, because they playing against each other, and they two top 4 teams. If they lose and it was a close game, as long as there's no blowout, it's gonna be interesting to see if the committee will keep them in the top 4. You still like a top 4 team. You just lost against another top 4 team. Somebody has to lose. So it's gonna be interesting to see when they play that last game.
Yeah, I see you got LSU against Bama. I don't know because I think LSU has a better quarterback than Bama, but it's just tough. I got to see where the game is. I got to see where the game is being played.
Yeah, who's the quarterback for Alabama again? Because he's been playing better as the season went on.
Playing better.
He's been playing a whole lot better.
He's a kid from Texas, and I know his name is just. I'm over here thinking about the Pac-12 and who could possibly slip out because somebody could cannibalize each other and cost each other because Texas at 7, they got a tough one against Kansas State because their quarterback is out. But if they can keep winning and get Quinn Ewers back, and if Oklahoma, is look formidable enough, because I know they just lost to Kansas, if they look formidable enough, then they can see OU again, beat them in the Big 12 game. So any of those teams that lose, whoever loses out of Ohio State and Michigan, you're sitting there and they get that, and that's the toughest thing.
Well, you forgot it's kind of like Washington is above them.
Yeah, it's kind of like selection committee Sunday when you've already played or you not in that last game, and it's like, I'm basing off sometimes the last time you see a team, it's like, I'm impressed they make it in. If Texas gets to play in that Big 12 championship game, beats OU and Michigan and Ohio State, whoever loses that, which I'm thinking is going to be Ohio. I think it might be Ohio State because I just don't trust their quarterback. It'll be like them sitting there and like, hey, we got these 2 wins here, but this team won their conference championship against a quality team, and then they get in. And they do. You can say whatever you want. The blue bloods do matter. That situation does matter, and for who you beat and who it is to get in, because it is a TV product at the end of the day. Jalen Milroe, that's the name of that Bama quarterback. Jalen Milroe.
Yeah, he had that shaky game against Texas, but he's been playing better ever since. Billy said Deion getting all the recruits.
I just thought about that. Deion is going to get some recruits for sure, but Deion, I really want them to win a few more games because you're going to get the hype, but I want them to win. I want them to get into a bowl game. I want them because Arizona. Someone told me this. Hey, Arizona's that's not looking like that easy dub, and now Arizona has beat a lot of good teams, so they need to step it up so that they can beat Arizona and sneak off one of those teams and ruin their season. But Georgia finally does. Next weekend, they have a test. It's at home, but they're going to play Ole Miss. I don't believe much in Ole Miss, but I think that's still going to be a big game for them. But this weekend, man, that Alabama LSU, and it's in Alabama, so I'm going to roll with the Tide on that one. So I'm just it's tough to win in Alabama. Texas has already done it. I don't think, but the thing is, I do trust Jaden Daniels more than I trust Jalen Milroe. So I'm with you. He said Miami and Florida is. Okay, they were talking in the chat. So Alabama's playing better, but I'm not giving that Bama. I got LSU. They're playing Alabama, and that's a tough one. But their offense moves so much. But I think it's been enough tape on it, and Nick Saban already got lit up by Texas. I know he didn't want to get lit up by LSU.
Nick Saban, he may got lit up by Texas, but not like how LSU got lit up by Florida State.
Yeah, and that's the thing. So he's seen that tape of what LSU can do. So I would say that, but it is going to be interesting to see the receiver that LSU has. I want to see Kool-Aid McKinstry. He's looking at to be a high top 10 type of pick player. I want to see how he comes out and looks. So it's college football is finally coming to the point where it's getting real interesting. Well, I know we are.
One thing I was curious to see if Colorado was going to be bowl eligible. They were until they let that game get away from Stanford, and then of course, last week when they lost to UCLA. But I don't think many people had them winning that game anyway. So I don't really know. Cause I remember, I forgot the exact bowl. There was a bowl out there who, as soon as the Buffaloes became eligible, they were seeking them out. They were seeking out the Buffaloes, and I was like, because they know this can be it's some eyeballs going to get on this game. It could be a low whatever, a low totem pole bowl, but they gonna get eyeballs. So unfortunately, since they had the potential of being bowl eligible, they went on and lose two straight. So I don't know how much more games they have.
I see one that they have to go to Washington State, but Washington State has fell to the pack and they are 4-4. So if they can find a way to beat Oregon State, Arizona, or Washington State, I would say, hey, they got to win two of those three games. Utah, the way they play up front, I'm not giving them much of a chance because even Deion, and I've been telling people, and I need to go find the person on Facebook. They love to bring up a comment like you're just completely wrong. I need to go bring up and be like, hey, remember when I told you that Colorado didn't have the horses up front? I'm rooting for Deion, but I got to be realistic in my analysis. They up front, they don't have the horses. And now it's shown out, and I can't find that comment. About the guy probably disappeared, probably deleted it. You know what I mean?
Even Prime mentioned that in an interview. I don't know if it was a pivot or whatever show it was. And I think he was with Jackson State at the time. And it's basically the same formula here at Colorado. How they was asking, do you think? It's when he was Jackson State. Do you think Jackson State can hang with Alabama? He was like, our skill players can. I believe our skill players will be able to go blow for blow with them, but we're gonna get destroyed in the trenches. That's exactly what's in Colorado. They have skill players, but you can't win. The game is basically decided via the trenches, and they get destroyed in the trenches. That takes on both sides of the ball. It takes a little bit longer to fill out than getting skill players. But the skill players are at the mercy of the big boys in the middle. And like how Oregon did them when they completely bullied Colorado, and it's just you basically going to get embarrassed in the trenches before they can do anything about it. So I don't know how long. I don't think it's going to improve after just one season. I think it may be two more before that. Both sides of them lines, because both of them have issues, offensive line and defensive line. I think it'll be at least 2 more years before he can really get that line up to par. I'm not even putting him as a dominant line, just up to par. Be able to protect your quarterback for some series and put pressure on the opposing QB. But yeah, I think they'll have a chance to recruit. I know Colorado, they liking the whole attention they get. Me, I guess I'm kind of an old school sports head. I don't mind the attention, but when you play too much in it, if you're going to keep getting the attention, it's just going to make the target bigger and bigger and bigger. And that same attention that you was, basking in the spotlight with opposing teams, because you damn sure saw Oregon do it. They used that to their advantage and flat out embarrassed you. That was their whole mission. They wasn't trying to beat Colorado that game. They wanted to make a point and they wanted to embarrass them. So it's a double-edged sword when it comes to that attention. What do you say? Oregon is a fast team for every position. Yeah, they have. Yeah, Oregon is a fast team, but it's like they wasn't. Their mission that game wasn't really to beat Colorado via skill position. They destroyed them in the middle. I mean, in every aspect, Colorado couldn't do anything. And then they took advantage of their skilled players. But they made a point to destroy them in the trenches. I mean, Colorado couldn't do anything. I was like, damn, man, it was personal.
And they got away from them fast. So I know we got to get our closing thoughts, and we got to make way for Mandrell and them to come through and do their thing. So obviously, with my final thoughts, I mean, no surprise. I got the Rangers in 5. I think we're gonna take it tonight. We got big game Nate on the mound. I think we're gonna take this one. And as I alluded to earlier, I'm standing on mine. I think the Cowboys are gonna take care of the Eagles. I know it's a tough game, but I think they go into Philly. And for whatever weird reason, you normally these series you win on the other team's field. So I got the Cowboys taking it, and I got the Rangers taking it tonight. And we're gonna be celebrating next week. Still gonna be celebrating next week when we come on the show. Whether the Cowboys win or not, I know the Kangas are gonna get it done, but I think it's gonna be a good game. The only thing I would put the tidbit in there, Jalen Hurts does have a banged up knee, and I don't know how much that's gonna affect him this week, but I know what's gonna happen if the Cowboys are to win. That will come up a lot about his knee injury. So. I got my eye on that. I got my eye on that this week.
Well, it looked like we just I just see from the production like we can go a little bit longer today, so
Okay.
there'll be no show following. So I just told them 8:20 because
Okay.
I'll be able to hear my kid in the background going crazy the longer I'm in here. But 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 there was a point. Let me see. Builder, he made a comment about the attention about Nick Saban in Alabama and when it's Colorado. No, I don't look. It's the attention. It's not the fact of about attention. You know, Alabama was getting that attention because they was winning. I mean, winning brings
Mm.
attention. USC back in the Reggie Bush days, they was getting attention. Colorado was getting attention. There's no issue with the attention. It just with Alabama, they like I said, they was getting attention because they was winning and they was able to back it up. You know, they knew they had the target on their back. So when teams came and treating them like a college football championship game every week, they stepped to the plate. With Colorado, it's just a little bit different because they getting the attention, but then they also getting all this excess attention from the media, celebrities, to the point where everybody's in the sideline and stuff. That's all fine and well, but there's going to be teams on the outside, you know, who like, I keep using as an example, Oregon. They everybody knew Oregon off top was the better team, but
Yeah.
Oregon was they made it personal because they was getting tired of the attention that all these other teams that hasn't done anything yet. They can, you know, they haven't done anything yet.
What did the Ducks say?
So
The Ducks had the times up when you're getting ready to run through the banner, and then the attention they're getting, they're captivating the youth. Like my brother's basketball team just had their media day. One of their pitchers, they wrist up, and you know what it is. They're emulating Shadur Sanders. I seen a little boy that was he was Shadur Sanders for Halloween. Like he like the attention and the positivity, and that's why I hear you on the recruiting. Like if you think, and my brother's a senior in high school, so if he's doing that, imagine what the seniors are just getting ready to go and be recruited. So I do think that's a major point. I just think that we are seeing some of the limitations of the attention, and we're seeing some of that. We're seeing that, hey, you know what? They are really, really good. These other teams, and it takes a while. Even with the transfer portal, you have to have a base. They didn't have no base. They had
yeah,
to get 80 new players. So now get an off season, hit the portal hard. I know they changed the portal times, but hit the portal hard. Dion is blinking it out there. When he said new lineman, I didn't like that. There's a lot of little things that I'm not liking he's doing, but I know everybody, every coach is getting feelers out there to be like, hey, if you hit the portal, we got a spot for you.
that's
That's
how North
already
Carolina changed it. That's how when they had their success in the beginning of the year. I think Florida State did the same thing. They hit the portal hard. I mean, there's some coaches like Prime and others who accept it. You know, they use it as a tool. Dabo Sweeney is not one of them dudes. That's why you see him struggling in Clemson the way he's doing because he doesn't want to do that whole transfer thing. So, okay, you want to keep doing the whole old school approach now, just straight recruiting, while these other teams are using the transfer portal like literally like free agency to adjust their, address their needs. You gonna get what you get. So it looked like Clemson is kind of being left behind because Sweeney is not adjusting to the new ways of doing things. Meanwhile, Prime, Florida State head coach, even North Carolina, they accept the new ways of doing things, and you see them having the success. Colorado maybe not having the most success because like they basically Colorado is basically down there an expansion team right now.
I
They
knew you were just
building,
saying.
yeah, they just building, but they are using that tool straight from the get go. So
It's
in next
NCAA
year or
franchise
the year
mode.
after, they can be different. Um, but yeah, I'm seeing the comments we building over here making about Prime and the millions of dollars, and I guess he's a black man. Uh, that's cool. I mean, like I say, Colorado is loving the fact that the attention that Prime is bringing them. He's bringing that when I brought up the whole bowl eligibility, and there was one particular bowl that was if Colorado become bowl eligible, they was literally seeking them out. Hey, come here, come here. All they need, I think, was 6 wins to be bowl. All they need to
Six.
get.
They
Get
just
them
need two
6
more
wins
wins.
and come here because they know the attention and the eyeballs. Like I say, they could. What's a low? I say what the Bahama Bowl. There's a bowl in Bahamas. Whatever the low totem pole bowl. They know if Colorado go there, eyeballs will be on there. They probably have the biggest numbers they ever had. It's just, but when I speak about the attention with Colorado, again, attention is not the bad thing. You got to be prepared for what you're asking for. And Prime and it's not even about Prime. Prime's been the same way since that's prime time Deion Sanders. When he goes recruits kids, he goes and recruits as maybe the kids as Coach Prime, but to the parents, it's prime time. They know him as prime time, so it's not even him, but it's the players. Because one thing about Sanders, he had the attention, but you knew he brought it every week, so you didn't have to. That wasn't a question. Now the players that are on Colorado currently, especially at the beginning of the year, you haven't really seen too much recently because they haven't been winning like that. But when the beginning of the year, when they start off at 3-0, and all this heavy attention was on them, even after they lost against, I think it was undefeated going against Oregon, 3-0 versus 3-0, and it's just those teams. Even Colorado State came out and gave them a heavy blow. They ultimately won that game, but I guess what I'm saying, if you're going to get this attention, and strictly for the players, if you're going to get this attention, just be prepared for the A-plus games that the opposing team is going to bring you. And like Alabama, they used to it. They get the attention, and okay, you're going to bring your A-plus game, we're going to match that. That's how come they've been winning all this time. Georgia's the same way. Oregon is the new kid on the block getting this attention, and then when there's a team that knows they're better than you, and they go, we're going to see you on the field. Okay, you can have all the attention right now off the field, but we're going to see you on the field. And they can internalize that and basically embarrass you on the field. So it's a double-edged sword, and because there's other teams in the college football that has attention. They just prepared for it. Colorado, they getting all this attention, which is cool, but in the end, it's still football, and you still got to be, it still got to be left on, determined on the grass. And the perfect example of that was Oregon, even though Oregon was a better team. And then at the same time, when you get this attention, you can't go have games like you do against Stanford. When you gave up, you had a 29-0 lead in the first half, and then completely gave that up in the second. And then the way you look like at this past week in your O-line, but like I say, those games are towards like later on in the season, and that all that attention that was given to them in the first several weeks of the season, you just don't. I mean, it's there, but definitely not at the volume it was at the beginning of the year.
Yeah, most definitely. It's there. It's cooled off, but the people that are backing them and watching them. So I'm watching them, like and it's like some things are coming ahead, and it's just like, yeah, you got to answer to that. I respect Deion for coming and answering to those questions. Mm-hmm. I'm glad from the standpoint of this, and some of it on Twitter is still there. I'm glad being linked to the HBCU is kind of that's fading away, because it's like, as an HBCU product, I did not like that. I didn't like Ricky Smiley coming out and saying that comment about, it's like Ricky, you know better. You went to no, don't go there. It's culturally, it's a lot more to it than just having a bunch of black players. So if that's the case, then damn, Alabama's an HBCU. But we know that's not the case. Like, come on now, stop it. Like, you know what it is. You know historically what that means. So I was disappointed.
Well, he was trying to say Colorado is an HBCU or something now.
Yeah, they were saying that, at the peak of the hype machine, when they were winning games and on the sidelines and the excitement, people staying up late to watch the games, and I was just like, they was getting out of pocket. They was getting way out of pocket. I wanted them to have some success. I was realistic about what they could have been. Like, I think I want to bet with somebody off of the.
Okay, I can hear you now. Yeah, you bet.
Yeah, I fully knew what time it was and what was going on. So.
Yeah, I was just laughing if they're saying about. I knew a lot of like off the field and around the country. There was a lot of you know black fans that was all of a sudden following Colorado. But damn sure
Yeah.
don't look like no HBCU. They put that camera on the fans in the
Yeah, when
stadium.
they put that one that 2% flag, like
You can
nah,
barely
bro.
see anybody that look like me in that stadium.
Yeah,
Besides the playing on the football field.
yeah, man. They
It
I
reminds me
don't
of
know.
Wisconsin and Minnesota. It's just like that up there. Like the only people that look like me are the ones that are actually on the field. They scan that stadium and the crowd, and nah, ain't nobody up there look like me.
Mm. Yeah, man. I don't know. I don't know. This is like I know this is the apex. Like we during this week, I know in the Metroplex we've had I think the Cowboys won, the Rangers won, I think the Stars won, like all the Mavs won, like which is crazy. Game one was so crazy for the World Series, and like I was at Pluckers watching it, and like the whole bar was like they ran out of beer. Fuckers that ran out of beer. It was running out of beer, and I was like, yo, this is crazy. So it's like the Metroplex is real pump right now, but Luca dropped 49. And it was like they was their home opener, but it also happened to be the World Series game one. So it happened, but we didn't even know it. And like the Mavs are actually off to a good start. And it's just kind of like it's making me look good because I told a lot of Mavs fans, I was like, I know y'all might not believe in Kyrie, but I was like, nah, man, that's gonna be a good move as far as the ball handler. You got to figure out the defense. But the ball handler, and then they got the young center. He looked promising. And so it's like, it's early for basketball, but for teams that did make the playoffs like the Mavericks didn't, I know they tried not to. I'll say for teams that didn't make it or teams that are trying to avoid the play early in the season is important. And I noticed as the Lakers started 2-10, you do want to get off to a reasonable start so you can catch fire. Or if you have injuries and you have a few losses, you can withstand it. Because I can't take another 2-10 type of start. Like that was crazy last year. Like that was like pins and needles every game. Felt like a playoff game at the end. Like I'm ready for just a regular basketball season and everything like that. But I'm looking forward to see all the teams cannibalize each other or come up big or come up or don't come up big on the college side. That'll play itself out. That'll totally play itself up. Help itself play itself out on the college side to see what's gonna happen. And like I said, man, Zach Galvin is throwing a no hitter right now, so that's kind of crazy.
Yeah. I guess I use this time to just get my final thoughts before we jump on up out of here. And my thing is just going back to the NFL. I know we talked about the big matchup this weekend between the Cowboys and the Eagles. The thing about it, there's another big matchup that's happening, and it, I don't think it's as big as Cowboys Eagles because that's an old school rivalry. But as far as two teams, it is, and that's the the Chiefs and the Dolphins. But the thing about this particular game, it's not going to be played on American soil. They're going to be playing in Germany. Well, we in DFW, so we in the Central Time Zone. So here locally, it's going to be 8:30 in the morning. So a lot of people are going to have to wake up early in the morning to watch this game overseas. And instead of if it was back here in the States, that game will be either a 3:30 game or a 7 o'clock game. Hell,
Mm-hmm.
even a Monday night
Yep.
game if they would have made it. But that's that was funny to me when I saw it.
That's frustrating me.
I was like, damn, these two teams are one of the two better teams in the NFL. It's gonna get eyeballs on them, but they're not gonna be playing in the country. Now, if they were playing in Mexico, because the NFL, I believe, last year had a game in Mexico City. That's cool. That's still Central Time. There's no different. It's like going to South Texas and playing a game. You're still gonna be the same time zone. But when you going over the ocean and playing, they like 7 to 8 hours ahead of us. I'm like, hell, you have one of your better games. Well, probably the majority of people are probably gonna be still asleep or gonna be at church. They ain't gonna be. They probably gonna get a few eyeballs getting on this game. Jacksonville, they the sacrificial lamb. They can go play over there. They had that back-to-back week over there in the
They
UK.
they they I think they were the first team to play over there and then come back and play a game just to see how it works. They're testing that out
Mm,
but it's like, nah, man, like you can only get so big, and I don't think we're ever gonna get the world fully on board with American football. So it's just like I know a lot of people tell me all the time, oh, soccer and this. I'm like, I don't mind that it's just big here. It's big and that feels good to me. I'm not at a sports bar thinking, oh man, only a couple 100 million people gonna watch this game. I don't care if a billion people watch soccer. It doesn't hit me like that.
Yeah, it's like
I
hockey.
feel,
It's like hockey here.
you know,
Well, I'm from Houston. Hockey is big in the northeastern part of the country, and Dallas
yeah,
supports the Stars because it's their home. It's a local team. But hockey is not big in the South. So some people say,
mm,
"Oh, you don't watch hockey." I'm like, "Well, it's not big in the South. It's a southern. That's a northern sport. It's big in Canada and the states that's border that up there in the northern part of the country, but it's
colder
not
places.
big down here. So
Like it's
okay,
it's not. That's like me. Like it just like it probably to a southern it shocked them that college Saturday is for college football. Saturday is for college football, especially in the South. You go in the
yeah.
Northeast,
And
not
Southerners
not
come
no.
down here for high school football and see the stadiums that we have for these high school teams. Then that's the sport that that dominates down here in the South. When you got high
Yeah,
schools spending 60 million for their stadiums, 70 million for their stadiums. It makes no sense down here.
yeah. So that's just the cultural differences in sports, which is what's great about it. So like I was sick about that because as somebody that likes offense, I'm literally gonna be getting ready to go to church when that game starts, and that's a game that
Well,
I want.
I don't know about offense. I think it can get ugly for KC because they receivers need to start catching the ball. I mean, that offense does
Yeah,
not look the same because their receivers do not make the plays. Now,
I'm.
meanwhile, the
They
other
should have
side of
made
the
a move
ball,
at the
they
deadline for a
can.
receiver. They should have made a move at the deadline, but
Well,
some of
they
the
did. They
receivers.
they got back McCole Hardman. I don't know what he's
That,
gonna do, but they got back
I'm
McCole
talking about a
Hardman.
legitimate guy. He's a guy that can help with the speed element,
They
but
get
he
DeAndre
was
Hopkins
supposed
there.
to be a baby Tyreek Hill, and it never materialized.
No.
But I heard the guys like a Devontae Adams and a Mike Evans were not made available. So, however those teams want to go about that, I can understand it. Like, and which is crazy because the Raiders ended up I guess it's what they call a sunken cost theory. They'd already put so much in, so they didn't
Mhm.
want to trade away Devontae Adams. But you end up firing your coach and funding your season. But I will say this: I'm pro player in a lot. I'm pro player to make their money because the owners are going to make way more money than the players are ever going to make because the players are the working class. Um, I don't have much sympathy for Devontae Adams. You chose Derek Carr, your buddy, over Aaron Rodgers, and Aaron Rodgers ended up staying. And I'm pretty sure if you stay, y'all probably have a good shot at making the playoffs. But you went to the Raiders, you didn't make the playoffs, and it ended up trading your friend. So you went to an unstable organization. Y'all didn't make it work. I can't have a lot of sympathy for you over there pouting and not getting the ball, and you
Yeah,
know,
he definitely chose. He
so
definitely chose that wrong one on that one.
it's a tough situation. But I don't know, man.
But
We're gonna see that. That's a big one. And that game, they're both 6-2. So there's a lot riding on that. Whoever
yeah,
wins that game, and I don't know, but I that's a big one. Before we get out of here, I do want to touch on the comment that we building made. What you said about how they used to do quarterbacks, especially black quarterbacks, and how like mobility is the name of the game now. We've gotten rid of statues. I think about it all the time. I think about what if player X was born in the what better yet, one of my favorite quarterbacks growing up, or Michael. What if Michael Vick was born in this era? So he gets to be able to get an offense that's going to fit cater to his needs, and then they'll figure the rest out. You get a better yet, you get a Cam Newton who was a little ahead of the curve. A Colin Kaepernick was a little ahead of the curve. The offense in his college, they literally came up with the pistol formation. What if those guys come in this generation? And like it's one thing when you talk about the guys like in basketball. Oh, what if Wilt played today? But that was so far away. But them, like they played in the 2000s, the 2010s. That felt like that was just a few minutes ago. What if they were just a few years younger and came in this generation? It's something I definitely think about a lot. Like, man,
yeah.
they were innovators and they changed things. And I also think about the guys that were so far ahead of them, like the Cunninghams and the Moons. Man, they still were
It's
able to be
always with the
successful,
mobile
even
quarterbacks
though those were
though.
strengths.
They always just one hit away from having a season ended. And hell, even pocket quarterbacks now because it's really running quarterbacks in pocket, but it's really because the defenders now, especially the boys on the line, they're just so much faster.
Yeah,
So back then, yeah, they can be mobile, even though there wasn't that much mobility. It wasn't smiled upon. It was frowned upon. Now if they played, and I think Dan Marino will be on fire if he played on this year. If he played, he was the pocket QB, but he'd be lighting boys up. Randall Cunningham, I'm trying to think of who he would be like. He wouldn't be like Lamar's. Vic is closer to Lamar than Randall, I believe, because Lamar is just that you can't have that dude. I put Lamar as like Tyreek Hill. How you don't want Tyreek Hill to beat you with his speed. Well, Lamar puts a fear in defenses once he gets out that break out that pocket and takes off running. He's just such an electrical runner. Um, Randall, I guess back then he was like that compared to how defense were back then, but they definitely didn't have the speed and agility that the defenders do today. Um, so yeah, the way the game has changed or morphed into the game, a lot of the quarterbacks back in the day, they say you can't play this style. It's interesting to see that in today's NFL, you can play that style. Now, offense has to, like you say, they have to cater to that quarterback's strength. But hell, if you draft a quarterback, that's what you're supposed to do anyway. I don't understand how some teams you draft a quarterback. There was one way in college, and then you try to put this round peg in the square hole. It's just not gonna work because you just you stubborn to carve out. That's why Lamar is having the success he is in Baltimore right now. If Lamar was with anybody else, he may not be having that success because they'd be trying to transform to a different quarterback. And a lot of times with players, that goes pretty much any NFL player, but especially quarterbacks, the team you draft you, they can make or break your career. If they don't want to, be what they're supposed to do and create an offense so you can have the most success, and they want you to fit this mold, and you've seen plenty of quarterbacks fall, and then a lot of times their confidence just die off from that because of that
Yep.
the experience they had at that particular team. But yeah, man, that Donald Trump. I would jump into that comment a little bit more. I just noticed he put Donald Trump running around hijacking votes. But man, my time is already limited because I can hear the little one going off in the back right now. So I would dive into that comment deeper when I just finish reading this whole
Yeah,
comment.
that's a whole bag of
Yeah,
things.
man,
And
that's
the
a
thing
whole
is,
bag of worms right there
the
with that.
biggest thing is you never not what he did was wrong. And I feel like as of anybody that's done a heinous crime, he has done so much to atone for that mistake. But there's always going to be people because the dogs hold a special place in the hearts of everyone, and well of most everyone, just because they're like they're one of the top pets. So it's a lot with that situation. And my thing is, I know that he made a mistake, but that was still one of my favorites growing up, and I love the way he did the flip store. Even so
Hmm.
much, I hated that he played for my rival, but I was glad that he was able to get himself together and put himself in position to be on Fox, to have a foundation. So but man, I'm about to get out of here. I know this Ranger game is in the sixth inning. I'm trying to see what they do, and it's just crazy. I want to see what the Lakers are gonna do against the Clippers, but if the Rangers win, I'm gonna be soaking that up. So I'm gonna have to watch and stream tonight, man.
Yeah, I'm just watching the game, but yeah, my Astros already out of it, so I'm just watching just to watch it now. But yeah, I'm about to jump up out of here too. But appreciate y'all for joining us one more week. We gave y'all a little bit of bonus time, So hope y'all it was enjoy that. We appreciate everybody for being active with us in the comments. I love it when we could just have the dialogue just flow when
Most
the
definitely.
the people give us their thoughts and whatnot in the comments. So I love a good sports debate. So appreciate y'all for doing that again, and hope to see y'all next week. Until then,
All right,
peace.
y'all. Peace.